What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about some more teams that you can use to auto run Dark Dimension 2. The last time I did this video, you guys really seemed to enjoy it, and I actually had quite a few suggestions from people in the comment section of teams to try. We've also done some testing on live streams as well with different teams you could use to auto DD2. So we're going to talk about 3 more teams you guys can use to auto run DD2. Now, if you are going to auto Dark Dimension 2, the one thing that is very, very important is going to be sustainability. So characters that can really keep you healed up, or characters that can self-heal, different kind of things like that. Those are the kinds of characters that are really important for DD2. And actually, we're going to try to focus on characters they're actually going to bring into Dark Dimension 3 as well. So you're going to see several characters on these teams that are also really good in DD3 because of their different tags, or their sustainability, or just what's in their kits that make them pretty good for DD3 as well. So we've got 3 more teams today. If you guys have any other teams you want to suggest, make sure you suggest them down in the comment section, and maybe I'll do another video of this here in the future. But let's go ahead and start with our first team on the list here, and that team is Star-Lord, Minn-erva, Black Bolt, Mr. Sinister, and Hela. Now, of these characters, the only one that you're probably not going to take to tier 14 is going to be Star-Lord. Minn-erva, she's an obvious go-to character here. She's got a bug with her currently. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Black Bolt, I mean, it's Black Bolt. You're going to take him to tier 14. Mr. Sinister and Hela are both very good options for Dark Dimension 3 as well. And what you use this team is you have Star-Lord on the edge. You have Minn-erva sitting right next to him. Then you have Black Bolt, Mr. Sinister, and Hela. And what happens here with this team is that Star-Lord feeds the energy to Minn-erva. He's constantly moving. He's constantly giving her ability energy. But the one problem that we're having right now with Minn-erva is that her ultimate is working as a healing ability instead of just popping off whenever she has it. She now only uses it whenever an ally falls low on health. And this is kind of helpful to have Hela here, because Hela's undead minions, or as we like to call them, Greg, they're pretty squishy. They'll fall low on health constantly, but also anytime they die, they feed speed bar to Minn-erva. It makes her go faster. But if they're ever low on health and she has her ultimate ready to go, she will pop off her ultimate, and this is where she's really great in Dark Dimension 2 and also Dark Dimension 3. That ultimate will steal 15% health from all enemy characters, and as you know by now, Dark Dimension 2 enemies have a massive health pool. So if you can steal 15% and then redistribute to your team, pretty much everyone on your team is going to be healed back up to full. No problem here. Plus, she also has a revive, and then anytime you defeat an enemy, if there's a lot of summons or minions on the enemy team and you defeat them, Minn-erva's also going to heal up your most injured ally for a percentage of her health. So Minn-erva is fantastic here for Dark Dimension 2. Mr. Sinister can clone characters on the enemy team. He can also apply buffs to your team based on who's with the clone, and yeah, there's just a bunch of buffs that can fly around as well. And Hela, like we already mentioned, undead minions, they are great for feeding the speed bar and healing with Minn-erva. And also, you know, they also can reduce the speed bar on the enemy team as well anytime they die. So you have a nice little bit of turn meter or speed bar manipulation between undead minions dying, Minn-erva speeding up. There is a great amount of synergy here, and Black Bolt is just here to really provide you with a ton of damage. He does a lot of damage to the enemy team. He's got unavoidable attacks. He has a very powerful AoE, and he can also burp on enemies whenever they fall below 20% health. It's a big nice damage boost that you have with Black Bolt on this team. He just kind of helps give you that damage that you're really kind of lacking overall. Minn-erva has some great damage, but you have to rely on her ultimate. Hela has some decent damage too, but Black Bolt really brings some good damage to this team overall. Now, the next team on our list is going to be Symbiote Spider-Man, Carnage, Yo-Yo, Shuri, and Captain Marvel. Now, this is one we tried on the live stream, and this is one I hadn't really thought of before until someone suggested it to me. And we tried it, and I was rather amazed with how this team works. So Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage, they are characters you're going to take to tier 14 for the city nodes and Dark Dimension 3. No problem with that. Shuri, she is Wakanda. She's a legendary. We just had her come into the game recently, and she is one of the best healers in the game beside Minn-erva. Yo-Yo is a premium character, and we'll talk about Yo-Yo and some decent substitutions you can bring for Yo-Yo if you don't have her. And then we have Captain Marvel, one of the very powerful kind of plug and play characters out there. Now, Captain Marvel, she has the ability to heal on her own, and she brings a lot of damage to the team. Her binary effect, able to apply damage to the entire enemy team. That's big. She can dispel. She's very powerful on her own. She's a great plug and play character for a reason. So she's kind of your main damage dealer for this team. Shuri is going to be here as your medic. Now, Shuri can apply defense up to your team and also apply ability energy to characters with her special here when she gives them defense up. That's a very welcome addition to this team, but also that healing ability with her can very quickly heal up your characters. And she also has heal block on her basic, which is good if you're going to be running into characters who can heal themselves up constantly or have some kind of healing ability. You can use Shuri with her heal block here and kind of block those characters. Now, also Yo-Yo, Symbiote Spider-Man, and Carnage, they're a very powerful trinity in either Dark Dimension or Raids. And what happens here is you have to start with this passive on Symbiote Spider-Man. The passive on Symbiote Spider-Man allows him and Symbiote and Hero Spider-Verse allies to heal up for a percentage of their health every time a negative effect is applied to an enemy character. And now with Carnage and Symbiote Spider-Man, they have a lot of negative effects that they apply. They also can get Health Steal with Symbiote Spider-Man's passive, where every time they deal damage, they can heal back a certain amount. And then you have Carnage with his passive, giving speed bar to himself and symbiote allies every time an enemy falls below a certain amount of health. And that speed bar boost is very important and can stack up and makes them great for raids. You don't really need that for Dark Dimension 2 or 3. You don't really need that passive for Dark Dimension 2. Will be better in Dark Dimension 3, but for Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage, they're constantly moving and they can apply a lot of negative effects. But Yo-Yo also here in this team has something with her passive where if there's no protector allies on her team, at the beginning of every enemy's turn, she applies offense down to that character. Now, number one, that offense down is huge because it cuts their damage by 50%. That's already pretty significant. But number two, every time she applies that offense down, she is healing the symbiote allies. So every time an enemy moves, they get offense down, and now suddenly your symbiote allies have healing put on them. Now, Venom also works. You can bring in Venom with Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage as well, and bring in Yo-Yo. And if you don't have Yo-Yo, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people who don't have Yo-Yo. Another character that I really like here is going to be Squirrel Girl. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Squirrel Girl, but Squirrel Girl can apply offense down and bleed to the entire enemy team. Her basic can also apply offense down. And also, her special ability, it's a 3-turn cooldown, is a team-wide cleanse and can call the highest damage character on your team to attack, which is likely going to be Symbiote Spider-Man or Carnage in this case. So one of them is probably going to be called to assist with the cleanse from Squirrel Girl, plus the healing. It's a big deal. I like Squirrel Girl for this kind of team. The great sustainability, healing. If you don't have Yo-Yo, Squirrel Girl makes a perfect substitute for this. Also, any character that's going to be able to heal and also apply some solid debuffs. So minn-erva also works here great. But I didn't want to bring her into this team because, again, we've already used minn-erva in another team. So these 5 characters here, you have some great healing with sustainability. You have some decent damage. It's not as much damage as you're going to have with like Black Bolt, but this team is still very powerful. You have a lot of debuffs, a lot of healing, a lot of great sustainability, the defense up on your team, the offense down on the enemy team. It works great. It's a very highly recommended team. I love it. This is one that didn't really give me any problems except for a node with Deadpool, which you see in the footage. That one's a bit tricky because Deadpool executed someone early on, and yeah, it kind of screwed things up, but the team kept going because of all this sheer amount of sustainability on the team. Now, the final team that I want to talk about today is going to be Symbiote Spider-Man, Carnage, Thanos, Black Bolt, and Ebony Maw. Everyone on this team, you can make a case for taking a tier 14. If you have Black Order, Thanos is an easy option to take to tier 14 because Thanos at tier 14 with Black Order is absolutely mad. But if you have Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage, you're going to use for Dark Dimension 3. Ebony Maw and Black Bolt, both of those are easy options for tier 14 as well. Ebony Maw, you're absolutely 100% going to use in Dark Dimension 3 as well. And that's kind of the focus. We're trying to focus on characters that you're going to take into DD3 as well and kind of focus on those. And that's the main focus of these teams today. There are some exceptions here, obviously, like Star-Lord in the first one. Yo-Yo, you're probably not going to take her to tier 13 either. But this team is fantastic. So you put Thanos in the center and you put Black Bolt and Ebony Maw on either side. Now, you could also put Thanos on one edge and put Ebony Maw next to him if you want to go crazy here too. Every time that an enemy dies, Thanos applies ability energy to either him or adjacent cosmic allies. Then probably putting Thanos on the end with Ebony Maw next to him is probably going to be your best bet here because Ebony Maw is much like minn-erva in this. His ultimate can steal 15% health from all enemies and redistribute, but that redistribution is capped based on his max health. Though there seems to be some weird stuff going on with this, it doesn't seem like it's as capped as I would think it is, but it still heals quite a bit. and it also steals a ton of health from the enemy team. It's just like Minerva, and as far as I can tell, his ultimate here is not bugged like Minerva's is, where Minerva only uses hers as a healing ability. Ebony Maw will use his regardless of the situation, so you're gonna get this health steal quite a bit more often, so you're gonna get more damage potential with Minerva or with Ebony Maw over Minerva here, so that is something to consider. And also Black Bolt, he brings massive damage to this team. Thanos is a very hefty tank. He also has an ultimate that can heal himself back up and cannot miss. It's a big AoE attack. It does great. And also Symbiote, Spider-Man, and Carnage, we've already talked about them. A lot of debuffs, a lot of health steal between the two of them. Very, very powerful combo here. This one is probably my favorite of the three teams here, and it's one that I highly recommend. All these characters, you can make an easy case for taking up to tier 13 and 14. So this one I think is probably going to get the best return on your investment. These are all characters you're not going to regret taking up to those higher tier gears. They're all fantastic options. So this one, definitely my favorite one. This huge amount of damage between Ebony Maw and Black Bolt, Symbiote, Spider-Man, Carnage. Sustainability with Thanos and the ability energy regeneration because of him and defeating allies and giving it to cosmic allies. I love this team. Fantastic. Probably my favorite team that I've run so far that can auto Dark Dimension 2. So those are three teams that we can run in Dark Dimension 2 that can auto it. And I'm kind of curious, do you guys have other teams? What do you guys think about these teams? Make sure to say something down below in the comments. If you guys have enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, share the video, and also subscribe to the channel for more Marvel Strike Force content in the future. And as always, I will see you guys next time.